Matt Rule only has 3 commitments toward the Cornhuskers 2025 class, but recruiting is about to heat up. Visits, they're taking place nearly every day in Lincoln throughout the spring. We got Husker Online insider Sean Callahan. He's going to take us behind the scenes of Nebraska's most important spring targets. But first, Nebraska fans, lock in, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We love talking Nebraska recruiting, so go ahead, hit subscribe. All right. Let's bring on the great Sean Callahan of Husker Online. So, Sean, before we get into these most important targets for Nebraska, what has been Matt Rule's approach to recruiting this spring?
Well, they've had a later start to spring here, Josh. They're going to play their spring game on April 27th. So they didn't really go crazy in March at all. They didn't want to bring recruits in with nothing going on. And so they've kind of put all their chips into April. So every single day, a Tuesday, Thursday, or even a Saturday practice, we've seen anywhere from 3 to 10 or more recruits at practice. So they're getting a lot of these guys to come in. Like this week, Adonis Curry was here, one of the top players in California, and he's coming back again. I think that's the key to get a guy from California to Nebraska. You've got to get him here multiple times. So you're seeing some of these guys come in on the front end for a visit, and then they're going to come back again for an official, and then ideally maybe again in June. And I think that's the formula they want, is if we can get these guys here 2 or 3 times, that's going to give them their best chance to be Huskers.
Yep, there's definitely a formula to that for those out-of-state guys. You got to get a couple points of contact throughout the spring, then into the summer or fall. You know the deal. You've been following this for a while. All right. Let's talk Nebraska's most important targets as we hit spring recruiting. We'll start at the top of this list with arguably the most important guy here, TJ Lateef, 4-star quarterback. Now, he's trending towards Nebraska on the recruiting prediction machine, but Colorado visit over the weekend. What are you hearing now on TJ Lateef and where Nebraska stands?
Well, he's really been their primary quarterback target for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Early on, it was Alex Mansky from Algona, Iowa, the number 1 player in Iowa. He's going to Iowa State now. And I think Dill Raiola and Daniel Kalen coming here had some effect on his movement because they were in with Mansky. But Lateef then quickly became their primary target. They have him coming in for his official visit for the spring game. So they'll get a semi-home game day weekend to bring him in, where there's going to be, Josh, over 70,000 fans at that spring game. So they'll have a great stage, ideally, hopefully great weather to kind of showcase the program to TJ Lateef.
All right, so we'll see what happens with TJ Lateef, but he is one of the most coveted quarterbacks in this class right now because he's ranked number 24, but amongst the top 25 quarterbacks, only 6 remain uncommitted, so they are coming off the board at a really high pace. The next prospect we're going to talk about is athlete Michael Terry. He's out of San Antonio, Texas. He's our number 1 athlete, borderline 5-star recruit, number 23 overall in the entire country in Texas, with a slight lead over Nebraska on the recruiting prediction machine. But where do you feel Nebraska stands right now, and what do they need to do with Michael Terry?
Well, they've got him scheduled to come in for an official visit as well. So they've done all the things they need to do at this point. But yeah, he's definitely one of their top targets. Matt Rule and his staff have a really good Texas connection. You've got Garrett McGuire, Joey McGuire's son, is the receivers coach. Mm-hmm. Their newest quarterbacks coach, Glenn Thomas, also a former Texas high school football coach. So they've got a lot of inroads in that state. They've had success all over Texas. Matt Rule going back to his Baylor days. And he's no doubt probably the top target right now that they're in the state of Texas.
All right, now let's move on to tight end Chase Lofton. He is the lone in-state prospect in our video today. He's out of Omaha, Nebraska, 6'6.5", 213 pounds, a major mismatch and right now, looking at his RPM, trending Nebraska, but it's close. You got Kansas State in there and also the Oklahoma Sooners. What are you hearing about Chase Lofton, and is this one that Nebraska could lock down maybe before summer?
Yeah, I think, he was on campus for practice this past Saturday, and he hung out with Carter Nelson, the 2024 top 100 recruit, was with him all day. So I think they had a really good weekend with him when he visited down here on Saturday. Chase Lofton, though, has as many offers as you're going to see. He plays a premium position, tight end, and teams have gone to the Midwest to find these tight ends. I mean, that's kind of been the trend, especially with the way Iowa has put out all these tight ends in recent years. This part of the country puts out a lot of tight ends. I mean, you put it in perspective. Last year, Nebraska had more tight ends in this state of less than 2 million people signed with Power 5 schools than the state of California. And Chase Lofton is another one of those players. He is going to take a swing down to Florida. He had Florida State, Miami, and Florida as well. So he's looking at those schools. His brother Braden plays at Kansas State, so they're kind of a wild card. Texas A&M as well is a team to keep close tabs on. They've got a couple of Midwest connections there that have done a really good job with Colin Klein and then now Christian Ellsworth from this part of the country that have recruited him down to A&M. So very wide open, but I think Nebraska, at least to this point, is very much in the battle for Chase Lofton.
Would be a huge win. All right, let's move on to running back Jamarian Parker. He's out of St. Louis, Missouri, and he's a one-time Arkansas commit, now trending heavily to Nebraska. How much of a priority is he?
He's definitely a priority. That they have one running back committed, Connor Booth, an in-state player, but they definitely would like to get Parker as well. He was at practice this past Tuesday, spent the day in Lincoln with his family, and kind of leading the charge is a behind-the-scenes person for Nebraska. Keith Williams, is one of their player personnel directors. He's a former NFL football player from St. Louis. So recruiting St. Louis, and we've learned this at Nebraska over the years, it's challenging. You have to have somebody that's trusted, that has the connections down there. And Nebraska's got Keith Williams kind of behind the scenes helping them. And Parker is no doubt a top running back prospect. I just saw Minnesota re-offered him this past week. It will be interesting to see now what other spring visits that he plans to take here moving forward.
All right, let's wrap this up with one of the highest needs in this class's offensive line. So we might as well go with Malachi Goodman, 6'6.5", 315 pounds, from Paramus, New Jersey. And he's been taking visits, been kind of all over the place, but he was in Lincoln recently. What are you hearing coming out of this one?
Yeah, Malachi Goodman's now been here twice out of Paramus Catholic, and he brought his mom both times. The key thing is Nebraska made his very first scholarship offer in high school. So he's got a lot of loyalty to Nebraska for that.
Sure.
You look at his offer list now, he can go anywhere he wants. He's been to Alabama, Ohio State, USC, you name it, Michigan, Penn State. He's got just about every offer you can imagine. And some services have him as a top 100. I know we still have him as a high 3 on 3, but I think when you look at his offer list, you'll be hard-pressed to find very many offensive linemen that are being recruited as heavily as he is right now. He's taking 9 visits over a 6-week period this spring to all of those blue blood programs and more. I think now the key, Nebraska hopes to get him back in late June for an official. I think the prospects look good for that. So if they can get Goodman in Lincoln for a 3rd visit, that would go a really long way. Dylan Raiola has helped recruit with him, as well as a number of the other younger, high-profile players in this Husker program.
All right. Well, like you said, hey, it's springtime in Nebraska, and they are getting big-time recruits on campus nearly every single day. Guys, go check out Husker Online. They got you covered, whether it's football, whether it's recruiting. You guys do a great job. Sean Callahan, thank you for dropping by the Inside Scoop today.
Anytime. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed that, go check out the hundreds of videos that we have on this channel, and also do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel.